أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صفوته من خلقه وخليله، بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وتركها على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله أفضل الصلاة والتسليم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب اغفر لي ما لا يعلمون واجعلني خيرا مما يظنون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون. لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة، أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون. أما بعد، فيقول سبحانه في محكم تنزيله بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. وإن عاقبتم فعاقبوا بمثل ما عوقبتم به ولئن صبرتم لهو خير للصابرين. واصبر وما صبرك إلا بالله ولا تحزن عليهم ولا تك في ضيق مما يمكرون. إن الله مع الذين اتقوا والذين هم محسنون. يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده، فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه، فإن لم يستطع فبقلبه. رواه مسلم. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we praise Him and we seek His aid, we ask Him for guidance, we beg His forgiveness, we seek refuge with Allah from the evil of ourselves and from the evil of our actions. Whomever Allah guides, then no one can lead him astray, and whomever He misguides, then there is none who can guide him aright. I testify that there is none to be worshipped except for Allah. He is one without any partner. He is the one who makes to live or makes to die, and He is the one who has power over all that exists. And I testify that Sayyidina Muhammad is the devoted, beloved slave of Allah and His messenger, the purest of His creation, and He is the one who has delivered the message, fulfilled the trust, advised the ummah, removed the darkness from it, and He strove in the path of the religion until His death. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon Him, on his family, his companions, and all of those who have treaded in his path of excellence and followed his guidance until the day of judgment. O you who have believed, have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be mindful of Allah in your affairs. And do not die except, in the way that Allah deserves, and do not die except as Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He also says, O you who have believed, have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and let each person look and see what he has prepared for tomorrow. وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. For Allah, He knows very well whatever you do. إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ. Do not be like those who have forgotten Allah. فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. So He caused them to forget themselves. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. It is they who are the evildoers. They are not equal, the people of paradise and the people of the hellfire. Indeed, the people of the garden, Ashabul Jannah, hum al-faizun. They are the most successful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Holy Quran, Ud'u ila sabili rabbik, which is call to the way of your Lord. And it doesn't say to call who to the way of your Lord. It simply is an open statement to call to the way of your Lord. Because if we put in call these particular people or those particular people, then it may be a limited instruction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But since it's ud'u ila sabili rabbik, that is, call everybody, all of the mankind, all of humankind, all human beings, and in fact the jinn as well. Call them. Call them to what? Ila sabili rabbik. Call to the way of your Lord. That you're not calling to yourself when you are calling for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not calling for your national origin. You're not calling for your organization or your political philosophy, that you are inviting to the way of your Lord. ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة, with wisdom. Like the boy and the king, with the story of the boy and the king, that he invited to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though it meant that he would lose his own life in the process, but he found a wise way. The same way that Musa alayhi salam, he found wise methodologies. The same way the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he found wise methodologies to invite to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so in the context of what we are seeing, that Islam is being projected, whether rightly or wrongly, the reality is that the majority of the people in the West have a negative opinion about Islam and Muslims. That statistics have shown that there is a negative perception of Islam. We've seen the statistics for the United States. How about for Europe? It must be even more damaging. Islam is beauty and Islam is beautiful. And so what has happened to this verse? Are we finding the ways to invite to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ud'u ila sabili rabbik, that we are not making it an issue that is about a movement, a nationalistic movement, or an issue that is a political, ideological movement, but simply saying, I'm inviting you to my Lord and your Lord, to that way, to that pure path. Once we are able to get back to that refined core of the deen, which is inviting to a pure path, that is an upright path, then people, and they have those who are exposed to the Muslims who are able to articulate it in that fashion. Their viewpoints have changed. And when they see whatever is taking place, they have another opinion because of their interaction with Muslims. And at the same time, the Muslims themselves, they must not only know what is right, but as we found in the hadith, they must also, if they see something wrong, to change it with their hands. The well-known hadith, if somebody is drilling a hole in the bottom of the boat, it's saying, oh, they're killing us, so we have to kill them, and spreading these kind of things, then we have to stop that. Not because the authorities are telling us, hey, you need to take care of your own, or else. This is not the motivation for us as leaders and as people in the community. The motivation should be to make our communities better, and that our young people know what is the truth, what is the falsehood. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم. أولي الأمر منكم, some of the Mufassirin said, al-ulama. They said, oh, obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obey His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the people in authority over you. So any of the perpetrators of what has taken place in France recently, or before that in other events, if we try to find out, did they actually go to any ulama, like real scholars, and ask them? The one report that I heard is that one of those young men, he went to an imam who was supposed to be even a radical imam, and he told him, don't do an attack in Paris. So even when you go to the ulama, even the one so-called, whether that person was a alim or not, anybody can put different titles, but we're talking about those people who have spent their whole life in the study of the deen, in the careful study of the deen. When a young person hears, oh, قَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ, fight in the way of Allah, those who fight you. You see what France is doing to us? You see what they've done to your Muslim brothers? So fight them. The same way they're doing to you in your homeland, you must do in their homeland. So the only person who can really deconstruct that for a young mind is a person of knowledge, alim, who can explain to them the verses and explain to them the situation, and do the verses apply to that situation or not. This is why it's important to always keep the ulama as our standard, as our basis, and we go back to them and we check with them. Same way they're specialists in any field, and we check backward. We check back with the ulama. And we support the ulama and the organizations of ulama. In America, we have Assembly of Muslims in America. We have other organizations which have scholars. They actually have spoken on all of these matters, but they don't have the wherewithal to make a public relations campaign to show, look, here's all our fatwas when it comes to living as a Muslim in the West, and here's all our fatwas, what we say about how to be a good citizen. They have written already all of these fatwa, but it's about how you get it to the masses. We have to help them in those ways as well. But going back to the verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbik." This is what you are doing. Believe it or not, maybe you don't realize it, but just by being a good, whatever it is, your position, a good engineer, a good architect, a good driver, a good, whatever it is that you're doing, and that people know that you're also a Muslim, that is an invitation. And the quality that we want the most for people to be identifying with Islam is beauty. That's the most important quality we want a person to come away with. Is that when he meets a Muslim, he's like, ah, the person is beautiful. The way they interact with the family, the way they interact with the colleagues, the way they interact with the neighbors, it's just all beauty. This is considered to be the highest category in Islam. It's ihsan. So this is why Allah said, "Al-hikmah wal-mu'idatin hasana," with beautiful preaching, not an angry, judgmental, yelling, fiery. When you're invited to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, no, with beautiful preaching. They said that they didn't know anybody who would smile more than the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So yes, we take that along with the hadith that they also saw the Prophet very serious because of his concern. But we have to take them together and understand this is a complete human being with a complete set of experiences. And that's again by study and by the people of knowledge explaining to us the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We cannot just open it by ourselves and just say, okay, this is what it means, and this is what we have to do. Maybe we can take our own personal feelings, our own personal inspiration, but to go around and then teach them as if this is what the true meaning of those words are. We have to be very careful. Even the ulama themselves in their fatwa, they say, Wallahu a'lam. And say, Allah knows best. So when we invite to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's already had its effect. We had a French woman, she actually called the masjid, and she was inviting us to one of the events that they're having, a memorial event. But she was saying, oh, I see that your mosque is doing good things in the community, and that y'all are talking about Islam and teaching Islam. And she was very nice, oh, I understand that all the Muslims, you are not the same. And she was saying, I agree that Muslims don't have to apologize for what some fanatics do somewhere else. So they already, well, we said that there are statistics showing that people have a negative impression about Islam and Muslims. We also have large numbers who are very fair-minded, reasonable people who only are just waiting for that positive spin from the Muslim to come towards them in their life. And that is what you are doing every day, believe it or not. You are doing that. And people are talking about you even when you don't realize it. They say, oh, he's a Muslim? Oh, I didn't know it. He's so nice. Can't believe it. This is what many people have experienced in their workplace. Person is working and for many years. The brother was telling me, and he's not recognizable, it's so obvious that he's a Muslim. His complexion and his color of his hair, etc. So, for many years he worked with, and they're talking about Islam and Muslims, oh, they're this, they're this. And then he finally comes and says, well, I'm a Muslim too. And we're like, what? No way. You can't be Muslim. And then he begins to explain to them, and you're not trying to do it just to take away a negative stereotype. You're actually inviting them to a path. Not forcing them to it, but inviting them to it. Which is very different than converting somebody. When you are inviting somebody, you invite somebody because you have that love for them. And you're inviting them not to your own house, but to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With wisdom. Some of them said the wisdom is the Quran itself. The Prophet ﷺ, one of the mushrik came to him and he was vehemently saying everything he wanted to say. Before that he said, Ya Rasulullah, you're going to let me say everything I want to say. The Prophet said, okay, I will let you say whatever you want to say. Free speech. And he said, okay, say whatever you want to say. And he said, you did this, and you did this, and you did this, and you did that, and you did this. And the Prophet ﷺ was not interrupting him at all. He let him say what he wants to say. We need to take advantage of that in these societies. Now you can say what you want to say, both ways. So then when the Prophet ﷺ was done, or not the Prophet ﷺ, when the mushrik was done, the Prophet subhanAllah, asked him, are you done? He's very, جَادِلُهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. He's very well-mannered. He's very civil. Beyond that, it's beautiful in the interaction. He said, are you done? He said, now will you listen to me? He said, yes, I will listen. He began to recite Surah Fussilat. Inviting to Allah with the words of Allah, with the Quran. How many times have we seen non-Muslims who just hear a beautiful recitation of the Quran and tears come to their eyes? They don't understand a single word. They don't know the meaning, but what they're getting is the feeling of the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala penetrating their hearts. If a person is crying because they hear the Quran, that means there's some good there in their heart. So we have to be careful from inviting to destruction of those people who are potentially the best of the Muslims. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil-hikmah," including with the Quran itself. Inshallah, tonight we have a special opportunity. We have Sheikh Muhammad Jibreel. He's a world-renowned talent. He won so many competitions, even to a point where he was winning so many competitions, they said, don't compete anymore. He, inshallah ta'ala, he'll be with us tonight. He'll be reciting in Salat al-Isha. And followed by that, he'll be reciting some Quran. And then tomorrow, inshallah, he'll be at the Mendes Academy fundraiser. So come tonight, hear the Quran. Believe it or not, if you have a non-Muslim friend, I know it's very short notice, but invite him also to hear the Quran. How many of those pundits who are supposed to be experts on Islam, they never even once sat down and listened to the Quran? I'm not talking about reading a translation, but actually just listening to the Quran from a beautiful recital. This da'wah is beauty. The adhan, when the adhan is made, the voice is beautified. When the Quran is recited, the Quran is beautified. Everything, كَتَبَ اللَّهُ الْإِحْسَانَ فِي كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. To do everything with this perfect beauty in everything that you do. That is what should be communicated about Islam. It's beauty. وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ, and argue with them in also the most beautiful ways. إِنَّ رَبَّكَ هُوَ أَعْلَمُ مَنْ ضَلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ وَهُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِالْمُهْتَدِينَ. He knows those who have gone astray. Meaning, a person may be astray right now, but then they become guided and they die in Iman. They become a person of Jannah. A person may be guided, but then he may go astray at the end. Or a person may be guided now and continue to be guided until they die. Or go astray and continue to be astray until they die. But the one who knows that is not you. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's what Allah is saying to him. It's Allah who knows it. So your job is just to make the invitation. And عَلَيْكَ إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. For you is just to make the announcement also. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us to follow those verses of the Quran. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who obey Allah, obey His Messenger, and those in authority over us. Alhamdulillah. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا مباركا فيه واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله. All the praises for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, multiple praises, peace and blessing be upon the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Dear brothers and sisters, what our brothers and sisters in France are going through is not unlike what we could be going through also very soon. You never know when these attacks and who are doing these attacks and how they happen. They just simply happen, and then after that it takes a life on its own. There are more than 5 million Muslims in France. That's almost 10% of the population. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do with them in this time. Already some stores have been targeted, some people have been targeted. But we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you will help them, that they will spread the deen. With whatever has happened, that they will go and tell people what Islam is. Sometimes we're insular as a community, but whenever these kind of events happen, we are forced to open up and talk about ourselves and invite people to our mosque. And we don't want these events to happen, but when they do happen, we need to be ready also and prepared so that we show the true teachings of Islam, and that we also organize as Muslims together, doing all the good community work, whether it's in the masajid. We have Renaissance Academy fundraiser tomorrow. Come and support that. Peace Academy is going to have their fundraiser also in February. Support that. Support the local institutions of Muslims that are organized, that are disciplined. Maybe sometimes looking that they are fledgling, but if we don't support them, then nobody else will. It's our community project that we have together in the masajid and the schools, and it actually does make a difference to what we've been talking about in the khutbah, of giving a beautiful message of Islam, not only as individuals, but also as our institutions. And we need to work together hand in hand with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on those things. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم في العالمين انك حميد مجيد. We had a request for shifa for Sister Musarraf. She's very ill in the hospital, and also others who are ill. نسأل الله العظيم رب العرش العظيم أن يشفيهم. 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 اللهم اشف أنت الشافي شفاء لا يغادر سقما. اللهم ربنا لا تؤاخذنا بما فعل السفهاء منا. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا وأخطأنا. ربنا لا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا لا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وأقم الصلاة.